So, I'm pretty hyped for Monster Hunter Wilds, but I have been trying to keep that hype restrained, under control, moderated, because it's far more fun to go in with lower or moderate expectations and be blown away by something than to allow your hype levels to run rampant and soar so high nothing could possibly live up to them. But you may have heard the weasel word there. I have been trying to keep my hype moderated. Today I failed hard, because today, in their month-long series of weekly video drops, IGN served up a whole platter of the most delicious takoyaki one could ever hope for. And I'm a man who loves takoyaki. And I am blown entirely away by the absolute masterclass on show, from design to execution to animation to art direction. This might be without doubt one of, if not the most impressive monster executions the Monster Hunter dev team have ever done. It is glorious. Hello again, I am Blunty, and for those of you who don't know how multilingually hilarious I've just been, I'm going to explain the joke, and in return you will leave a comment on if you think it was comedy gold or just goofy cringe. You see, the Japanese have a food called takoyaki. Little savoury meatballs made with octopus, flavoured with a variety of other ingredients, battered and fried, and they are delicious. Taco is the Japanese word for octopus, and as you can see, today's reveal was about the cephalopoidal monster, once known only as the Black Flame in earlier teasers and trailers, but today we learned its true name, Nu Udra, who is, of course, unmistakably octopus-inspired. And in a fun subversion of expectations, instead of this aquatic-inspired monster having a water elemental basis, it is instead the exact opposite, steeped in flammable oil, making it a fire-based monster. And yaki is the Japanese word for fried, so takoyaki is fried octopus. And to my Japanese-speaking friends, I do apologize for my Australian accent all over your wonderful language. But I think it's funny because this guy is exactly that. He's fried octopus. His octopus is on fire. He's a frying octopus. Takoyaki. See? Multilingual culinary pun. Isn't that fun? Clever, right? I hereby officially submit that the fandom nickname for Nu Udra be takoyaki, because it's easier to say, cooler sounding, and delicious. But all of that self-congratulatory yapping now served to give you a chance to soak in some of Nu Udra. Can you see yet why I'm excited? Are we all on board with this? Animating soft-bodied creatures in 3D is a really difficult enough task. Doing so on this scale, in real time, in a combat scenario, in environments this complicated, and still maintaining an entirely believable movement system is utterly inspired work. This is genius stuff. This is pure hard work and talent. This thing moves so much like a real octopus can in dry spaces, wriggling and writhing and twisting muscular but stretchy, flexible tentacles around, through and over the environment, squishing and bloating its main body as it moves, omnidirectional and so vastly different to any other monster. I cannot wait to fight this guy. I'm on record as saying some of my favorite monsters are the spider and crab-inspired ones, because they move and act and fight so differently from the regular sort of, dragon-style monsters that we fight so many of, and I love that about them. And this is that, but just on a whole other level again. Oh, older games have had cephalopoid-inspired monsters in them, I know that, but they were executed far, far differently and in far more restricted ways. This beastie is to them as your iPhone is to a telephone booth. How young is a lot of my audience? Do I have to explain what a telephone booth is yet? Sure, they're both phones, but, their lives are worlds apart. Perhaps not the perfect metaphor, but there you are. I have watched this footage 3 times now, back to back to back, and remained utterly transfixed by it at every moment, every time. From the earliest teasers we got of this guy, I expected it to be a fixed monster just sort of sitting, squatting, plopped in the middle of an arena-style thing in one large location, and for it to flail and fight us with its tentacles only, much like some of those previous cephalopoid-inspired monsters. But this, I never expected this execution. I cannot stop gushing about it. It is so inspired artistically and astonishing technically. And interestingly, mechanically, it seems to have 3 states also, where most monsters have a couple. They've got the regular mode and their enraged mode. Nu Udra has those two, with the enraged mode having it ignite its oil coating and flicking globs of burning oil at you, among other moveset changes, which looks so good. But at one point in this footage, we also see it almost clear of that coating. You can wear its oil out, or maybe can burn through it. However that happens, we can see its true skin under it with vivid greens and blues and rusty red stripes and markings. I really hope we get to see, it completely clear of oil at some point, because it looks so good. And its nature as an octopus, as an omnidirectional threat, is also pretty unique, although two tentacles do seem to be primary ones, each of those having a glowing sensory organ you can see sometimes for targeting you, and in doing so telegraphing the larger, more dangerous swats and swipes that come from them, so that'll be a fun mechanic too. And being a soft body mollusk-like creature, it can fit and squeeze itself basically anywhere large enough for the only hard part on its body, that'd be its beak. So it retreats by slurping through these seemingly impossibly tiny cracks in the walls, and it's amazing. I love it. And when it does do that, and it goes back to its home nest, it's a little crevice in this little pocket, this little coral-like rock formation. Again, directly inspired by real octopus behavior. And apparently, each limb, or at least the major ones that are used for movement and attack, can be severed individually, much like a monster tail, but, multiple of them. And they'll keep wriggling and writhing on the floor for a while after you sever them, so that's creepy and fun. And according to the developer interview, they're only useful for carving parts from while they wriggle. So once they stop and decay, they're much less useful. Another little tidbit you might have seen in some of the footage, and was indeed confirmed by the devs, Nu Udra is one of the few monsters utterly unaffected by flash bombs. They didn't actually talk about this in great detail, but it's probably a reference to octopi having relatively unique eyes, able to detect polarized light. They have variable focus, extremely unusual for underwater animals. They see in 360 degrees, and weirdly, they are utterly colorblind. They've only got one kind of sensor in their eyes, so they see in black and white, but somehow they also still signal each other and other animals with color in their skins. And some of those octopus change shape and color. How do they detect that color? Their eyes don't do it. Anyway, the point is, despite having very good vision, especially for aquatic life, weird eyes, when translated into a Monster Hunter context, means flash bomb immunity, I guess. Out of all the monster reveals we have seen so far, I am easily the most excited about this one. It's so cool and so interesting and so clever and so well done. Oh, and as a side note, in some of this footage, I'm sure those of you who main the weapon will have noticed this, but we're getting a real good look at the newly restored aerial style for Insect Glaive. Missing from the first beta, and will be missing from the second beta too. People who loved the Insect Glaive complained loudly at Capcom about the removal of the aerial styles. So they listened to us and they're bringing it back, and we're seeing some of it in this footage here. And if you're curious about why it has been restored in this footage, but it's still going to be missing from the second beta, about to run in like 9 days' time, I'll link a video in the down below that I published yesterday that explains it all in terrific detail. But it looks so much better now, doesn't it? This is the Insect Glaive that I wanted. Mobile, aerial, dynamic, flexible. So I'm pretty damn happy about that too, but the excitement of that is massively overshadowed by the excitement about how this monster looks to fight and how it moves. Oh, it's just, I can't stop gushing. Man, the way they've animated and executed everything about Nu Udra is just properly stunning. The game isn't even launched yet, and this guy's a front runner for my favorite monster. Go Takoyaki! Hashtag Team Takoyaki! I hope his weapons and armor are just as interesting as well. Not that much longer to wait now, though. A month away. We're a month away from the game releasing now. Thank goodness for the second beta, otherwise it might have been even more excruciating. Thanks for watching. I am Lottie. We'll catch you next time. Thank you as always to the patrons scrolling away up above.